and welcome back to the Shannon Montana YouTube channel. And today we are here for part 2 or number 2 episode of our 10-part series titled Healing is a Journey. As you guys know, at this point, you can purchase your own Healing is a Journey t-shirt. The link will be down below or on the website shannonmontana.com. So that said, before we get into the meat of things, I want to introduce today's special guest, Joy. Tell the people who you are.
Hey world, my name is Joy. I am here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yay.
Just excited to be on this episode 2.
Yes.
Just talking about all things healing and singleness and happiness and everything else. So just happy to be here.
And we are glad to have you. And do you know, somebody asked me today, they were like, when you gonna move from Nashville? And I was like, why am I moving from Nashville? I was like, I like Nashville. Do you like living here?
It's not my forever.
Don't move that point.
It's not my forever. But it's cool for now.
You said it's not your forever. Where would you live?
I want to go back north, maybe.
Really?
Midwest.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you being from there, it makes sense. But it's so cold.
It's fine. You just buy more clothes.
Again, you from there. I told them Nashville ain't done nothing to me. For me to be trying to leave, I'm a creature of habit. I'm not saying, if Clay wants to live, Clay Thompson, if he wants to live, I gotta
plug
move.
out there,
Yeah.
Again.
If Clay said I gotta move to the Bay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Or I was about to say, is it Damson Idris? I got all these little crushes. But I was watching
The DSS.
Yes.
Dark Skin Society.
Right.
I'm with it.
I literally was watching this clip on I was actually just randomly scrolling Instagram and came across this clip of him on Breakfast Club, and he was talking about relationships, and some clip I missed where he had posted this video like Saweetie playing the piano, and people thought he was messing with her. He was like, it actually was just like a moment I thought was dope. I didn't know she could play the piano, so I just posted it. But longer goes on and continues talking and goes on to say like he had a long-time girlfriend and basically like they're really cool now. Whoever he's with has to understand that, she's going to be there forever. I was like, oh, he off the list.
He's single?
It sounded like he was single.
Okay.
It was kind of like both ways. Like he was kind of saying like, I'm single, but I have like this love of my life that we have an understanding. She's really cool. It's really dope. They asked like, did she have something to say about the video with Saweetie? He was like, yeah. So it's kind of like, she one of them girls. It'll be a problem. We can't be together.
No.
So
look, she can't be around.
I can't deal with that, with the in between. So yeah, that was very interesting. And maybe, that will come up later on in this conversation. As today, we are going to talk a little and a lot about loneliness. Dun, dun, so talk about loneliness in the sense of all the elements of it. More than just saying, oh, I'm lonely, or what it's like to be lonely, but understanding that, one, you can be in a relationship and still be lonely because you're not fulfilled. Or two, the very simple, I'm single and I get lonely sometimes, because even though sometimes being in my house is real lit, sometimes we do be in this motherfucker looking around like just me and you, like me and the walls, so I think that it's necessary for us to have this conversation because it's just so many elements. One, I'll say this, with the demographic of who my audience is, I feel like there are more single women in it than there are married or in a serious relationship. So that said, I feel like where I am in the journey, which I'll get to in just a minute, it was warranted for me to talk about this because I feel like before being in the space that I'm in right now, that I was definitely operating from this space of like just doing some shit because I ain't had nothing else to do, or just doing something because that person was available. Or just doing something because I didn't have, my mindset wasn't in the place that it's in now to understand that, my fulfillment doesn't come from just having somebody sit next to me. It comes from really, putting something in there that's worth, thinking about. But before we dive into the topic, I always like to ask our guest, when it comes to your healing journey, and are you currently in therapy?
I am.
Okay. And what would you say was the event or the thing or whatever that sparked you to say, okay, F everything else, I got to get in therapy? Like, what was that moment for you? Or it could have been some other things together, but what was it?
I would say the moment or the awakening was the voices in my head just kept getting louder.
The voice?
You know how like you talk to yourself, or you're trying to talk yourself through things?
Yeah.
And it was just like, I can't do this by myself. Of course, being religious or having a belief of a higher power or whatever anyone thinks
Yeah.
or believes in, but it was just like I couldn't do this by myself.
Yeah.
I needed another person to help me process all of the things that were going on in my head. And you know, you sit quiet and you meditate and you pray and you journal, you do all the external things. But now I was like, all right, I gotta figure this shit out because I can't do it. You know, it's like nothing's working. Yeah, like nothing's working. And so I love my therapist. She's amazing, and she's been, you know, able to help me work through the things that, one, I never even thought of, or two, I wasn't ready to address. So
that's awesome. And that is, I love what you said about the thing with her being amazing, because where I am now in therapy, I've had 4 to 5 therapists, and it was not until my most recent therapist that I found maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I feel like I've done and gotten further with more work with her in 2 months than I got with some therapists that I was with for like, you know, 8 to 12 months. So I always tell people, finding a good therapist is kind of like finding a good doctor, finding a good partner.
Absolutely.
You gotta
owe it to yourself. I mean, like, you're not paying somebody and you're not getting anything out out of it. So advocate for yourself. Keep trying. It's like dating.
You got you gotta keep trying it out. And I'm as much as it costs.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, y'all gotta slide this game.
That don't help either.
At all.
Take this insurance or not.
It definitely does not. So that said, I always like to ask that question so I can see where people started with their healing journey, to see how it aligns. And since we are on the same page, we're going to dive right into it now. So as I stated earlier, today's topic is loneliness and singleness, and how you really just approach those things no matter what season you are in. And really how me being in a healed space now, and I always say in a healed space, it's a healing space because it's a journey. And now being able to just recognize some of the things that I was doing in those seasons that I will never do. They say never say never. I will never, never, ever do some of that stuff again. So that said, I want to talk about this. We are sometimes driven to do things. It's real wild what you be out here doing sometimes when you're single. Let's just start there.
Some voices in my head.
When you are out here, I would say, you know, you are, say, single, having a good time. You just kind of open to whatever the universe is going to bring or who they're going to bring to you. You move sometimes in a manner that you wouldn't normally, you know, or maybe it is normal for the time that you were in, because the behaviors that I was exhibiting, they were my norm for a good amount of time. So I'm going to give y'all some stats about this. So in the past, say 10 years, and I'm going to give that big window because I don't need no motherfucker trying to identify where they fall in the timeline. So in the past 10 years, that'll be 2012 to now. Okay, that's safe. All right. So I would say in that time frame, I have only had 3 relationships, meaning like we were boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay.
We both knew we were boyfriend, girlfriend. It wasn't just me. Okay. I was in it with them.
That's good to know.
Yeah. We had those conversations, and we were in alleged monogamous relationships because everybody wasn't doing what they supposed to do.
Gotcha.
So in between that, I've had situationships, things where I was dealing with people, and you know how situationships, a lot of times they start out fun. Unfortunately, I was dealing with some of it in the pandemic, you know, you here for a good time, not a long time. And so the situationships, you know, you don't have a title. I talked about last episode, the whole label deal, and it's not really as fulfilling. It's something that a lot of times I would say the situationships that I had, I was kind of getting a piece of something from everybody I was dealing with. And that's definitely not fulfilling. Like, that is definitely a driver. So I would say, because in the past 10 years of me having, say, 3 relationships, and in between situationships, I gave the data actually, because I wanted to get this right. So 3 times I was in a relationship, and I would say 3 times I had 3 situationships. Okay. So we had 6 now. So 6 times in 10 years I was in a relationship with somebody. I would say at least 4 of those 6 times I signed up for it due to pure loneliness. Okay. Or it was just something to do. And I hope it make you niggas feel as bad. It feels bad as I do saying it. So that said, I would say whoo. All right. So if you had to look back over all your, say, relationships.
We doing 10 years?
Yeah, we're going to stay in 10 years. Keep it safe. In the past 10 years, you thought about your relationships or situationships. Have you ever, you ain't got to give a number, but have you ever been in situations where you were just out here with something to do?
Yeah.
And what prompted you to feel like that was the thing to do?
It wasn't nothing else to do.
Okay.
Just that.
Right.
I think like how you live with it, it was fun. It started off fun. Like you may know one of them. It's crazy, man.
I do.
Yeah. So it started off fun. It was like, okay, cool. This is what we're doing. And I don't know how it was like we met at a place where I shouldn't have been. So it was also probably, it was also kind of like, Joy, you're not the voice in my head. I wasn't listening to that said voice. But there was one particular, as I'm giving all this jargon, but there was one particular, I was just like, it was something to do. All the red flags were there. They were just like flashing.
Glaring.
Like,
red is this shirt.
But it wasn't until like, I was like, this is dumb as dumb. This is dumb. Like, you just wake up
How
one morning.
far were you into it?
It was probably like 7. So, okay, this is what it was. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but he ain't watching it, and I don't care. He was like, I want you to, it was Christmas. And we were maybe talking for like 4 months.
Okay.
I was at home in Chicago for Christmas, and he was like, I want you to come down here with me so I could go to this Christmas party.
And he was in Nashville.
He's in Nashville.
Okay.
I'm in Chicago with my family.
Okay.
And he's like, I want you to come back to go to this Christmas party with me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Why? Why? I don't know this man.
Did you go?
I went to the Christmas party, and get this. The Christmas party was my aunt's best friend. So my aunt's like, well, why are you here? I was giving all the tea, but he ain't watching it. Nobody knows. But I was embarrassed thinking about it and looking back. I was like, why did I do that?
So you were at home with your family in Chicago. He's like, come down here to go to this Christmas party.
And lo and behold, it's somebody that I knew.
Your own family's people.
My aunt's best friend. So she like, why are you here? I thought you was in Chicago.
Like, I was.
Child, it was dumb as hell. But yeah, so
when did you realize it was dumb?
I just woke up one morning. I was talking to one of my good friends. She was like, "You really doing this?" It was like everybody was kind of like, "This really what you want to do? This it?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, like yeah." Y'all like, "Yeah, this makes total sense."
Yeah.
Living in my own world, living in my own head. Nothing good came out of it.
Nothing made sense about it.
Got a few dinners.
Yeah.
We ain't even go on no trip. Like we just got a couple dinners, hung out.
And what I tell y'all about niggas that don't want to take you outside city limits. So.
He don't go outside of Nashville.
Ooh,
I don't even think he been to Atlanta. So I don't.
See,
it was trifling. And I knew better at the time because when you're trying to keep it from other people, that's when you know like, nah, this ain't what you want to do. But again, this was all like, this was maybe 6 years ago.
Okay.
And that's the only one I'm gonna speak on because that one was just like, child, you was in it deep.
So you woke up, just like one day you woke up and was like, I always tell people kind of like when you're going through a bad situation, even like a breakup, and you're going through the grief of it, you always gonna like one day just wake up and be like, I'm over this person. So for you was like, you woke up and you was like, I'm over it.
Yeah, and he didn't take it well. It was just,
of course not. You was the fun girl going along with his bullshit. Like, why would he take that well?
Yeah, because he was calling and I don't know how he had access to my friends. That's another thing because I was hiding it from people. Only certain people knew because I, share my location and work with and stuff like that. But he was calling my friend girl. He was calling her husband. Like, let's hang out. Let's do this. After I said, this is it.
Yeah, of course. It's kind of like the syndrome of when you stop wanting to deal with a guy, anybody you break up with. They've been cheating on you for 10 years. In the moment you say you want to break up now, I'm willing to do anything, so it's that syndrome. But I think your story identifies with so many women in the world because we all have been guilty of engaging with characters, we'll just call them that, that we know we were doing things. I'll say, you told an embarrassing story, I'll tell one, and I would say this was 30 years ago. I was 8 years old. I was 8 driving. Niggas calling you at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you like, okay, I'm gonna come over. Girl, what the fuck?
For what?
One, my phone is on Do Not Disturb now. If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to, when I do wake up in the morning, I'm going to call you back to ask you what the fuck was wrong with you that you called me at 2 o'clock in the morning anyway.
Why you so disrespectful?
Yeah, right. Like, why would you do that? So you live and you learn. But I think that those are experiences that are driven by that something to do, you know. And so I think that goes into a lot of times I feel like I did it because, you know, one, didn't want to feel alone, because at the time, not knowing what really fulfilled me like I know now. I think I was okay with entertaining people because I did feel like I was getting a piece of gratification.
Right.
You know, even if that was affection over here, I get the dinner over here. I might get the trip with the one guy that want to go to Chattanooga. I get, you know, the attention over here. And so I feel like and the final piece, like I said, I just didn't know what it really meant to be fulfilled. And I think,
and what I want to add to that was part of that experience, again, now looking back on it, was living in your singleness or not being in a committed relationship. Somebody comes and shows you all of this attention and puts you on this pedestal.
Yeah,
that's kind of scary in the beginning, because then I was immediately drawn to it. And it's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to get.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, this
is
what
I've been waiting on.
Right.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, sis, that wasn't it.
Yeah,
you know?
and
so
I think they prey on it. I think they kind of know. You know, a guy knows, he comes around. You have the conversation. How long you been single? Well, she's been single for 2 years. Oh, let me get her. Let me, you know, hook and single. Let me pull her in.
See what she bites.
Yeah, and they know that they don't have to do a whole lot, because at that point it doesn't take a lot. And I think in the past few years we look at, you know, 2019, 20, maybe a piece of 21 dealing with the pandemic. That was a rough time. We saw that in the media with a lot of relationships. People just trying to figure out, you know, what they were doing. People were at home with people for the first time in a long time, consistently. Sitting still. And a lot of relationships went their different ways. So that brings me, that's a great point when you say sitting still. I think that where I am now and what this journey has taught me is that sitting still is okay. And I think that more women, what we have to tap into is understanding that just because we are sitting still, it does not mean that we have to always find a way to like fill up that time with something or fill up our thoughts with something. I think that what is necessary is for us to realize that if we are in a season of singleness, or even if we're in a relationship, that if we do have the ability to sit still, or we do have the ability to fill up space with doing something, I think it's necessary for us to figure out, you know, what that something needs to be. And that could be, I don't want to like tell people this exactly what it is, because it could be figuring out, you know, what is your purpose. And I feel like I feel like at work they've been talking about that a lot, but in the world people always say, you know, figure out what your purpose is. You know, I'm not the one to tell you exactly how to get there. I think some people know there, some people trying to figure it out. I think, but filling out what your purpose is. I think that also figuring out just like what you want your life to look like what important. You want your happiness to look like. What does that consist of, you know?
And that also helps a relationship be healthier.
Yes.
You know, because you can't get anything from the other person that you're supposed to have within yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't look for what's missing in someone else without working on it yourself.
Right. Or you can't be in a position where you are always seeking fulfillment from that other person for them to constantly fill your void.
Yeah.
Because I've been in a relationship with people where, you know, I've had, you know, I would say I count on one hand how many good ones I had. But I would say I've been in a relationship where one of my partners, I would say, was kind of like at a point in time so awesome at what he did. I used to kind of jokingly feel like, oh, I wish I could just give you all my problems and lay them on your back so you can handle them, since you do so well with everything else in our life. But it was like, that's not how the world works. So I think that ultimately it's about finding, you know, what do you want to fill up that space? Do you need to figure out what your purpose is? Do you need to figure out what makes you happy? You need to figure out what does fulfill you, but you also need to figure out, you know, what your mindset needs to be.
Yeah.
What do you think, and say at the age of, I'll say 33 plus, I'll give it that, because you know, I ain't gonna just say 30, because I think I was still acting a little crazy at that age.
Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so I think, say 33 plus, what do you think women need to do in order to figure out, like, I need to get my mind right. When people say that literally, like I need to get my thoughts together. I need to figure out, you know, if I am single, what I'm going to do with this time to prepare myself. Or if I'm in a relationship, what am I going to do to make sure that I am still fulfilled in this relationship? What do you feel like women got to do to kind of get their mindset together? Because I feel like it's a lot of people walking around almost like zombies. Just,
I think we, you know, we're all in this cohort of an age is what is happiness? What brings you happiness? Not just purpose. Because purpose can be something that changes all the time.
Yeah.
But happiness, you always want to feel fulfilled in doing whatever you do. You wake up and you're grateful for waking up, and that brings you happiness. Or you go to a job that you enjoy, or even if you don't enjoy said job, you're around community, you know, because we thrive on other people's energies and thoughts and all things. But I think happiness is one of the things that I had to really like identify. Okay, I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm working towards. I know what my goals are. But how do I, in all of that working and figuring stuff out, what brings me happiness? What brings me, you know, love, or what brings me, you know, some type of pureness to my everyday life? Because I'm the only one that can dictate or control what that'll look like. You know, I still can't rely on another person to provide that.
Was it a process of elimination? Like, do you feel like you were kind of trying to figure it out, and you kind of came to happiness?
Because I felt like that was the pot that I never was able to like truly feel. Because it was like, okay, maybe I want to go out tonight, and that wasn't it. You know, maybe I need to go out to eat, maybe I need to buy these shoes, maybe I need to buy this. Like, it was just like I was always searching. And so I'm not saying I'm at the point of knowing what happiness, but I feel that it's not always a tangible item or something that I can see. It's a feeling, it's an emotion. You have to emote said, you know, any energies and things like that in order to really find it.
I agree 1,000%, because I think about, for me, and I said this, I remember I put a video out on my 35th birthday, and somebody said, you know, what do you consider to be success, or consider yourself to be successful? And I had said, you know, it's not about, you know, money's fine, you want to have enough to pay your bills, you want to be able to, you know, take a little trip if you need to. But I said happiness, and I think that rings true. But like yourself, I feel like it was a process of elimination. And I think even going from 35 to now being at 38, that I've still uncovered some things with that, because I think it's peaks and valleys, and I think, like you said, it's a journey that I'm on. So
it's part of that journey.
It goes up and down. Sometimes, you know, I feel like I'll catch myself walking through my house and just stop. Like, I'm just so grateful for what I have and where I am. Like, nothing in particular. You know, just want to tell God thank you. And I'm so happy. Then other days, not that I wake up like, knock on wood, thank goodness, I haven't really had a day recently where I woke up in this super fun. Well, y'all, this might be TMI. I have to get new floors replaced in my house because my washing machine decided it wanted to flood. And I was like pissed about it for like, I ain't give it a full 24 hours. But I'm a Virgo, I'm type A, I'm a creature of habit. And let me tell you what I was more pissed about. I was more pissed about the fact that they were going to have to tear my floors up, and I was going to have to look at that for like a week versus the deductible versus this water they got in here. Like, I don't worry about none of that. I was like, because I can see the end goal, and I'm grateful that I have insurance. I'm grateful that this is covered. But I'm just like, y'all can't do this in like 48 hours. Like,
I don't want to look at this.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all can't just tear these up and put the ones down. Like, ma'am. Like,
it's a process.
Yeah, we'll get it done as fast as possible. But, you know, so it's just like the things that do bring you happiness, and the things that you can literally like laugh at in situations like that. But I think that that is something that I feel more people do have to tap into when it comes to getting away from, you know, the loneliness, the topic at hand. Like, feeling like I have to fill this space because I am lonely with something. You can find something to fill it up, but make sure if it is the happiness, or if it is the purpose, or it is something you're passionate about, that you find something that works for you, and you don't just fill it up with a person just because. So this leads me to ask, so I'll say another thing in my healing that really helped me to realize that I had some work to do, and for me to get to where I am now, is that you don't need a lot of people to give you pieces of love. And so I found out I had some friends, and these are the same friends, some of my Lila sisters. Joy's and Lila's too. Lila's. That I told y'all how they gave me such bad advice on the last episode. And on this one though, they gave me some really good advice, because I was having a conversation with them about how, you know, I was dealing with these different people, and I felt like, what I kind of mentioned earlier, like I was getting a piece of the pie from everybody.
From each person.
And I don't know why, sometimes people will say something, and you might have heard it before, but it's almost like it's your first time hearing it. It just resonates with you that time. And they literally told me that, you know, you can find all that in one person. And I'm like, you can? Like, so that was huge to me, and kind of recognizing that, you know, at the time I was in this space, I was single, I wasn't of the mindset of really trying to, I was in one of, I think, a jaded space. Like, I wasn't really trying to give nobody no chance. I was cool with, you know, kind of dibbling and dabbling on either side of the mountain. And men, meaning that, because that could have sounded a different way. Men over here, men over there.
Nah.
Right. But I realized that, I don't have to do that. And that even though I had had bad experiences up to that, that I could be with one person and get the fulfillment that I needed. So I want to find, what has been your experience with that, of like kind of feeling like I'm filling all these voids with these different people. And are you in a space now where you do feel like you can get it from one person, or do you feel like I need multiple?
I am in a space where I know I deserve it from one person,
but
I haven't found that one person.
Okay.
So I'm still, I guess, still dipping and dabbing and doing all the things. But I think the way I'm approaching dating and finding or having my partner find me is being open.
Okay.
Because I have been closed-minded for a long time now.
Why? Just because just no luck?
Just no luck, and I felt that, some people say you should date different. If it didn't work, I'm not doing that anymore.
No.
Like, I wouldn't promote that statement. But I've heard that from different friend groups or other people that are dating. If this didn't work, try this. If this, I know what I like.
Yeah, and I think you gotta stay true to it. Yeah,
and that's what it is, because I felt like the multiple people, it was because I wasn't really vested in this other person.
Yeah,
so it wasn't them, it was me.
Yeah,
and I
literally, I chose me.
He probably didn't get it, but I
got
it. What they say, that he didn't pick up what I was putting
down. Yeah,
he missed all of that. He missed all of that. But back to your point about dipping and dabbing, I think it still has to be something that we reflect on each and every time we encounter somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I could talk to the wall. Like, I'm an introvert, but I enjoy like having different conversations with folks or learning things. So like I can spark up a conversation. Yeah. But that doesn't mean like when we leave, this is it.
Yeah.
But I appreciated the time that we had together.
I appreciated that moment.
Yeah, in that moment it was great, and there was a great vibe. But I think what I'm able to do now is see past that. Yeah. Like, time, you can't get that back. So I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'm very upfront, like, hey, we're just out, hanging out. We're just
probably never see me again.
Yeah. Like, I can pay for my own if you want to pay. So I'm very upfront with people in that regard, and dating and things
like that. How does that go over?
It don't. I ain't been out a lot, but I don't know how to like smooth it out just yet. This is all still new.
I don't know if it's any way to smooth that out. I think that I met a guy one time would tell girls, and they would like say, offer their phone number. He would like, I'm not gonna use it. I
can respect that.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that it's never, anytime you're probably on the receiving end of like, this has been great, never gonna happen again. Yeah. But I wish you the best in life. Especially if they are feeling you. And I think what you said is so true about when you are doing the dabbling, it's really hard when like I feel like when you get with people and it's like, I like you a little bit, but I don't really like you a whole lot.
I'm not committed to
this. And I don't want to see where this can go. So it's like, sometimes that is the case. We go on one date or maybe two, and some people you just found, like, I feel like in my lifetime, I went on, I would say maybe 1 or 2 dates with somebody that literally by the end of it, we were like, yeah, or rather I was like, because I know one guy, all the conversation he had me, I was like, you're still in love with the girl who wouldn't, who turned you down on that proposal, even though she was on the other side of the world.
But you picked that up.
Yeah, because I asked her, we was there, mind you, vibe was cool, he was a cool dude. We talked for like 3 hours or so, had great conversation, uncovered that he was still in love with his ex, and to this day when I see him, what's up?
It's no hard feelings.
No, he got it. He got it. Very few people get it.
That's very mature of an individual. I'm not just gonna say of a man, but of an individual to receive that and still be like, all right, cool. Yeah, we moving on.
Go along to get it. Like he's not go along to get along. He just going along and saying, you know, it is what it is. But I think the other side of that, and do you think you feel like you may know people? You ain't gonna come by out, but in general, I think sometimes women, due to loneliness and not being fulfilled, try to force things. Like the whole thing with your friend saying, date different. I'm not an advocate of that. You like what you like. Yeah. Stick to what you like, because you don't want to wake up next to another motherfucker because you was
trying to date different.
Yeah. Child. So do you feel like sometimes you feel like women do that? Just date different when it really ain't what they want to do?
Yeah. And people date for different reasons. Some people date for security, so they gonna just take whatever.
No matter what you looking like.
Right. Some people are gonna date for a different lifestyle. People date for different reasons, and it's not always for the forever. Yeah. So yeah, people will settle, people will downgrade. But I also, like, back to my situationship, like, when you know it's bad, or you know that this isn't a good setup, when you're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't want nobody to see y'all.
Oh, that's very true. When you have somebody, and I've known people that have dated people, and say most times it's like when they break up. I used to deal with him when.
Exactly.
Like,
This never came up in conversation.
I
Like,
talk to
how?
you like every other day. How did I not know you was dealing with this man? Because you was ashamed. If you have to be ashamed, then you don't need to be with that person.
Yep.
And I think this goes back to when I think about those situations where I was dibbling and dabbling with different people, getting I would say the fulfillment from 5 different people I'm hanging out with. It was never fulfilling to me. And I always, like, this is what I would do when I think about my mindset at the time. Like, I'm hanging out with these different people, whether some would be just, this is the person I call when I want to have drinks. This is the person I call when I want to, like, watch a movie. This is the person I call when, like, I'm already out with my friends and I just want to see him. Like, you can pull up to where we are. But what I would find myself doing, and I'm sure some women, you can tell me if you ever did this. Say if everybody got a favorite nigga. So say out of the 3 guys that's on the roster, they all of them not my person. I know we not gonna get married. Right. I know we're not gonna be in a relationship. But I would find myself fantasizing about a relationship with my favorite one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like at the time, like, I want a relationship. And I just picture, what it would look like. But I'm knowing that
never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so let me go back to something what your friends told about getting everything in one guy.
Yeah.
So how do you know that you're getting everything from that one person? Did they give you anything else after that?
Okay.
I'm waiting to chime.
So I'll say this. I feel like, and I don't even know if I want to share this, but I guess I'm supposed to be transparent and vulnerable. From the first 2 episodes, people, if you watch my season 4 finale of the podcast, I said I'm in a relationship. Based on the conversation we're having now, me mentioning Klay Thompson, they probably, that bitch single.
Real single.
But I'm kind of in a in-between space. Let's just say that. So I don't feel like, if you want to be technical, yes, you could say I'm single.
Okay.
To some extent, am I still figuring out what I want to do? Because the thing about, my relationship was not a situation of like, we hate each other. It was bad. Like I talked about in the first episode, it was like I just kind of got to a situation where I felt like my back was against the wall and I couldn't be authentically myself for a number of reasons.
Okay.
And so it's like, you gotta sometimes be in separation from a person to kind of figure out some stuff. So I'll say that. And so that leads me to, prior to getting to, I would say, the space that I've been in for just a couple months, it ain't been that long. The way I would say, and I'll speak to when things were like really good with us, because I do honestly feel like in that relationship, I was getting everything that I wanted.
Okay.
And the way that you get it, and it's wild that you say this, because somebody literally asked me the other day, I was talking to them about being in a space in my life now where, like, if I meet a person and I kind of know what I want and I know how I'm going to show up. And it is one of those things, I understand, compromise and change is necessary in relationships, but there are some things that are fundamentally, this is who Shayna is, and this is who I am, and there are things that I now have learned in this healing journey that I am not changing for anyone. So I don't, Klay Thompson,
You ain't changing.
not for him.
Okay.
I'm standing 10 toes down, boo.
Okay.
So it's like, I am so clear about that. So it was crazy because the person said literally, like, how do you know, kind of like your question, like, how do you know if if you and the person, in so many words, like, are compatible or are on the same page, or like that's your person? And I was like, one, with this person, I feel like they was asking real stupid questions, but I was like, through consistent conversation, through hanging out with them, like engaging, you kind of see some things. Everything is not going to be said. You watch how a person moves, how they operate, through conversation. But I think that the way is, one, through the consistency and being persistent over a period of time. And that their actions and their words from day one align with where you are said 10 to 12 months from then.
Yeah.
But I think also what has to happen is, like I just pointed out, the only way you will, I feel like, get to that point to say even 12 months later is that if you are able to say that, okay, these are my morals, these are my values, this is what I desire in a relationship, this is what I desire in a partner, and you stand on it, like you sit on it. And when that person come along, even if they like 75% look good, but like that other 25 ain't rocking with like a whole lot or even any of the things you sit on, it's like, this ain't it.
Okay. So
I think that was part of, I would say, my personal journey that led me to part of these conversations was like understanding that before, in the words of Janet Jackson, I was doing the bending. I was the one that was like, okay, this nigga 75% good. And even though,
deal with the rest.
I could deal with the rest, even though dealing with the rest was like throwing out 50% of the shit that I wanted and I needed. And I'm like, how do you operate in that space? So it's like you have to be clear 1,000% on exactly what that is. And on the first episode, I talked about like the pillars of relationships and the things that I look at, and that y'all know that was like the mental. I'm out here like Flavor Flav, mental, the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, occupational, and financial. Those are like the core that I look at. And so it's like in those things, I always say, what are my values in those areas? What do I feel like has to definitely be there? How do I operate in those spaces? One, if you are dealing with somebody that does not like operate 90% of how you do, then it's like, no, this ain't it. And then the other side of that is saying, what are their values and morals, and so I think that's how you got to be able to really be able to say, okay, and this is what I think a lot of people struggle with, and why sometimes when we are in a space of like loneliness or being single or even feeling unfulfilled in a relationship, I think we get into these situations, if we're in a relationship, of walking in, like myself, not knowing exactly what I stood on 100%. Like I knew personally, like I'm not going to go to the casino and spend $10,000. But I didn't know that, if I'm with a man that thinks it's okay to go do that, I'd be like, all right, when that's not a good idea. So I mean, unless we got it like that, I don't. Even if I had it, I ain't gambling. It don't make sense. So I think the way you get there is just understand. That's the biggest thing. You have to be able to walk in a situation, and I think that's why I feel like people right now that are listening to this, like, if you are single and you're dating or you're thinking about getting in the dating field, if you are not able to sit down and literally, I feel like, put like that pen to paper and take your time and go through those things, because in the day you can write out a list, but I feel like it's one of those things, revisit it. Same way, say if you journal, you write, keep your change, go in there, scratch stuff off, add to it, and when you have a solid list, then you dip your toe back in the dating field. And then when you meet somebody, you pull out that list. You ain't got to show it to them. You mentally put it out, put it on your phone.
Don't be weird.
Yeah. They don't need to know about your list. Don't be like, well, I got a list. They definitely, you ruined it. You blew it, bitch. So you need to get your list together. And then when you meet somebody, and we were in Mexico for my birthday talking about this. You meet guys, it's like, I got black hair right now. I really liked you when I saw you with that brown hair. Can you do that? No. Bye. Black is my color, 1B.
Or the one that always, I've been liking you forever. No, you ain't taking me down there.
And why you never said that?
Exactly.
Weird.
But I think what you're saying, and where I'm learning and still continuing to grow, is how I'm showing up. Because I can have a whole list, but where do I fit into? I'm asking him to bring X to the table. What do I bring? And I think like that conversation in the black community specifically is always like, black women is when they, black men get to a certain status, they date outside the race. It's always going to be conversation about that. But I just think everybody should and has been elevating themselves.
Absolutely.
So it looks different. The dating field looks different.
The world looks different.
I was just going to say, the world
how
is different.
How can our dating life not look different? Would you say right now, do you have a list? Do you feel like if your outside looking in ideal guy, you were presented with him, that you would be prepared to walk into that and see what it is? Do you feel like right now you're in a space where you would stand on it? No matter who it is. Who your celebrity crush?
Idris Elba.
He married. Somebody,
well, nothing.
Somebody that is a crush that's available.
Nas is available.
He is available, but he's taking. We're not gonna talk about him because I have a crush on him too.
You asked my crush. I'm gonna say you can't. I have my crush. Right.
Which one you got? Damn. Okay, so Nas. No, we'll stick with Nas.
Or we could go to DSS, but that's yours too. DSS.
Yeah.
And what's the other guy's name? From
Get Out.
Queen and Slim.
Get Out. The Get Out guy.
Daniel.
Okay, I don't know his name. I think he like married too.
He is married.
I know, but I'll be trying to say, because you know the thing is, it's realistic for the possibility of you to meet these people.
Absolutely.
So you meet them. We manifesting. Which one you want to be with, Nas or DSS or them only two single ones?
Nas.
Okay. So Nas, he come and he like, Joy, I can appreciate the list. Because that sounds like some shit he'll say.
He would.
But like 50% of that shit, I ain't rocking with it.
Mm-hmm.
What you doing?
We can't do it.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good. I think I know I'm at a point where I can't do it.
I can't.
Because I've accepted, half-ass for so long, and it just ain't working, and we're not getting younger.
We cannot do the bending.
I'm
do
good.
it. Yeah, we good. So we know that this is the most wonderful time of the year.
Love it.
My favorites and loneliness. What do the lonely do? Hey, at Christmas. Who wrote that fucking song and thought that? Who was that? I don't know, but who would write that song? But what do the lonely do at Christmas? Bitches be like, I was this close to matching pajamas, So especially this time of the year, because everybody. Let me tell y'all something. Let me give y'all a disclaimer right here and right now. Y'all heard it here first. If you are going to be triggered by all of the fake love that you were going to see on Instagram over the course of the next 2 months, with the matching pajamas, with the holiday pictures, with the engagements, with the pregnancy announcements, all kinds of stuff, the big cars, the big gifts, all this stuff. The red bows. You're gonna see a lot of stuff. Some of it's real, some of it's fake. We on the outside looking in. To us, everything's supposed to be real, and that's fine. Live your life. But I'll just say, if you feel like you're gonna be triggered to the point where you want to communicate with somebody that may not be the best for you to be communicating with, with a loser, what they just say, loser. Then you want to log off. Just take a social media fast.
Like some serious.
No, that is serious. Don't log off from YouTube. You still watch this, but log off from Instagram. Log off from TikTok. TikTok may be safe. I would say I don't really be on Snap no more. Because Instagram, once they got the good filters, left that alone. So I'll say Instagram and Facebook, log off of those two. TikTok is probably still be cool because the thing, I love TikTok, and I always tell people it's a superior app because you don't have to consume the information of people you know. Most stuff I come across is strangers. So it don't be like, oh, I'm tired of this lying bitch. I'm tired of this. Like, you see all this stuff all the time from people that some is true, some like, you just be rolling your eyes.
A lot of it's not.
So it's so much, but TikTok is like, it's not
that makes sense,
overwhelming. Yeah, because it's like a stranger. I don't know, you be on it. It is what it is. And TikTok is not like, I don't feel like people be on there flexing. People be either on there telling the story, doing a dance, showing you how to do something, how to get your mind right, get your body right. Like, it's real intentional, whatever you seeing for the most part. My feed anyway. Because I'm quick to hit not interested in some shit show up.
Dope.
Yeah, my algorithm is great. Baby, I don't play with that not interested.
Yeah.
Because I hate get ready with me videos. So something like that pop up, it's gone. Cooking, Because if it ain't zero carb, get that out of here. Don't hurt me. I see little babies dancing. Get that out of here. Mine has been curated. Just like my Instagram feed. Somebody pointed out there was an Instagram girl that was talking about, RIP to take off from the Migos. And she said it says a lot about your what you are taking in. She was like, his death had been filmed and posted, and she was like, I have not seen anything about that on my timeline. And I was like, I hadn't either. I still haven't. I hated that this morning in the gym, CBS News didn't show the full thing, but they literally, when I saw it come up, they showed a glimpse of his body on the ground. And mind you, when I saw them, when I was looking at it and it was showing footage like before it happened, I looked away because I was like, I don't want to see whatever they're about to post. And so I looked back like literally as it was going off the screen. And I was like, why would y'all post this on national news?
I still don't understand why people think to pull out a camera in those situations. You're just a clown.
Literally life or death.
Yeah, I can't.
And
I don't understand that.
And it's nuts. Like my friends that are teachers, they always say, you know, one, I'm so grateful we grew up in a time where really like cameras weren't around. You had to be there. Or we literally had the camera, you had to go develop.
I'll take a minute.
Yeah, you gotta go get it. And then guess what? I could tear it up. Nobody, you know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. But this day and age, people, my friends, I was saying my friends that are teachers are always like, when something happened, they be like, what a video. Somebody got, no matter how bad it is, somebody got a video. So it's
that's very true, because I haven't seen any of the, you know, they said they show the actual body and all of that. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, your timeline. And if anybody, I was very clear, if I saw it on my story or my timeline, that person was going to be unfollowed that day. That post reported, and I'm unfollowing you. So that goes into, before we dive into loneliness in this time of year, that touches on also when it comes to that fulfillment and your mindset and just making sure that you aren't just out here in the world in this confused and lost and unknown state of what you are filling your mind up with. You know, because, you know, whether people want to say it or not, social media fills up a lot of our time every single day, because social media is now a tool in life. You know, if your phone is off, if you got Wi-Fi, you can message somebody, call somebody, everything from social media. So it's a part of what we do. So I would just say, be mindful of what you're taking in there. Absolutely. You know, for all my pages, you know, one, I'm cautious about when I log on Facebook, because you just don't know what you're gonna see when you open Facebook. it's a different group of people. You know, I got my mom over here, my sister over here, I got my friend over here. It's a graduation, it's a baby, it's a birthday, it's somebody died. It's a lot on Facebook.
Slick, and you didn't mention this yet. LinkedIn is becoming
a Facebook.
Facebook, and I'm like, I don't know about
I don't like the feed. LinkedIn, take the feedback.
Yeah,
and I gotta change my notifications because I've been getting emails all week. So and so commented. I don't give a damn.
LinkedIn is changing. I don't know about that.
LinkedIn has a feed it looks like Facebook.
It does. So and so like this.
Yes.
And you've been commenting. I don't
and
like
look,
all that.
I didn't even know when I had started. I got a new role at work in January, and so I had just went in like updated my stuff, and I'm not recognizing that they like announced it. I didn't hit like a post or nothing. Here come my cousin. Girl, you got a long title in your job. Like, what? Tell me about that. I'm like, where did you see that? Like,
you know, there's nothing secret, nothing private
at all.
in this world.
At all. So you have to be mindful to be aware of what you are taking in, because literally, you know, I don't even follow. And another thing is, and we'll get back to this at hand, I will unfollow people if I feel like their content, because I'm a content creator and I talk about relationships and what I do, I will unfollow people if I feel like too much of what we are doing is aligned or alike, because you can unintentionally absorb somebody else's stuff and almost like copy it or start to get like their ideas and kind of like take them as your own. So I'm big on that. I will unfollow those kind of pages if you only got one time to annoy me or post some stupid shit. And it's unfollow and probably block. Like I mute you. I put you on probation.
I used to mute, but I started unfollowing.
Yeah, I don't want to hear from you again.
Yeah, like I don't need you in my my aura.
Because I hate it when they did. They don't do it anymore. I don't think on Instagram. No suggested posts.
Yeah.
You're like, who the fuck is this? Why am I seeing this?
Yeah, they still do it.
Oh, I'm good for snooze. Never want to see it again. Never.
Yeah.
Never want to. Child. I will mute my mama. Let's be clear. So if you get on social media, again, just be mindful. Log off, ladies and gentlemen, if you find that it's triggering for you, and just do better to curate your feed. You want to wake up, and when I start this, I said when the young man passed away that I mentioned earlier, and I woke up, and you know how we do. I wake up and I open my Fitness Pal app and I open my Bible app because I don't want to lose my streak. And so I always, most times, to be honest, I do not log on social media. But sometimes I do. And on the day he passed away, I did. Yeah. And I literally was like, okay, I said, this is a post and log off day.
I immediately logged off.
Yeah, I said I posted what I needed for my content. Yeah. And I logged off. I said, I'm not going to be on here because I know the timelines. It's going to be nothing but him.
Yeah.
Respectfully. But I don't want to take that in because it's just sad to see, a black man pass away. And then I thought about it from the angle of like, I would be devastated if like one of my favorite artists passed away. Like we don't know these people, but we are connected to them. Like,
and it's secondary trauma.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're not there. We're not there. We don't know him personally.
Yeah.
But it's just like you said, another black male.
Yeah,
or
that's
another
enough
member of our community.
Gone.
Yeah.
So be mindful just in this season and period of what you are taking in. And as you go into this holiday season, so as we talk about what do the lonely do for Christmas, I want to ask, other than the shit of you driving down, what's the worst situation other than that you say you wound up in due to being lonely?
The worst situation? I haven't been in many, but I'll say, and I think I spoke on this on another episode of the on an episode of the podcast, excuse me. You go in saying, I want to have control, or I want to be able to. I told the individual I want to control my narrative.
Yeah.
Who am I? Niggas still alive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he like, okay,
right? Yeah, this makes perfect sense.
You in control.
Yeah, like that. The words are so powerful, but yet so empty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still
absolutely.
So that was pretty much all of 20. No, 2021 because we're in 22. So it was all of 21. Because I'm like, just let me know if anything changes. Just let me know if you in like, shit. Yeah,
got it.
And we live in different states. Like, joy.
Yeah, you was playing.
I ain't have nothing else to do. It was like,
you see that? I ain't got nothing else to do.
I was lonely. Well, I thought I was lonely because yeah, so that was dumb.
What do the lonely do at Christmas?
Say some dumb shit. Do some dumb shit. But I went in, like I said, like saying like, I knew what I wanted out of this.
Yeah.
I wanted the physical. And I felt like, okay, you live out of state. I don't need to communicate with you that often. We don't need to have any, ties other than when you're available and I'm available, we're going to make it happen. We enjoyed each other's time. Like you said, we watched sports together. We could talk about fashion. We could talk about music. It is what it is.
How often did y'all get together?
Maybe like once a month.
What the fuck?
It was.
Is once a month enough for you now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Why was it enough then?
Because I hated my job. I was just in a dark place.
Okay.
I didn't like my job. I felt like, I just wasn't navigating life or this world, like coming. We weren't out of the pandemic, but it was just like so many heavy things weighing on me at the same time. I was okay accepting bare minimum from this individual. Now, what was weird about it was anybody else that stepped to me or wanted to talk or reach out, I'm like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta. Meanwhile,
all these requirements for the nigga standing in front of you.
So right,
for Ghost Dad,
right. So it goes back to what we were talking about before, as far as like I know what my list is now. I'm true to it. I pray about it, and it doesn't matter how much time it is separates the encounters or the occasions with folks. Like when you are tired or something, you just like we discussed, you wake up and be like, I'm no longer taking this and I'm standing on it. And I'm okay with right now being single for 8 months. 8 months.
Okay.
And being okay with it and being okay with saying, hey, it may continue to look like this and that's fine.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. And that's what it comes down to, being okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we got so many situations I wound up in with being lonely, but one I'll talk about is just something I will never, ever do again. A nigga will never live with me unless we got the same last name. And I ain't talking about a brother. I'm talking about my husband. Yeah. And then we gonna be living together. You ain't living here with me. I ain't living with you. We gonna get some shit together. Yeah. Cause I have been too guilty of, and I only did it, to be honest. The nigga was so toxic. It feel like I did it 10 times. I only did it once. It was a lot. He was so much. I put the nigga out on Halloween. It was ghouls and goblins. So I think being lonely.
But you know what? I'm sorry. I know you
in
your moment.
Snap me out of this shit.
But this right now, going into this season, those homeless men that have been bouncing around over the summer on couches.
What they call
need a home.
Hobos, the hobos. Some they got.
But they need a home right now in the winter.
Y'all hear this?
It's a thing. It's like a truth. And then, you got the big nigga season and all that. It's like
So
all
what?
these things.
Hold on, wait, pause.
You
The
remember-
big nigga season.
What is that show? On Harlem. Remember?
I didn't
You
watch it.
remember?
It's a great show.
Yeah. So
What happened?
we're
Tell us.
entering big nigga season. So like the bigger guys, the heftier guys that you wouldn't dare look at or consider in the summer because of the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Now you want to snuggle up with him in the winter. You know
Never.
he got his refrigerator full. You
Never.
know he got.
So
extra.
we at his house.
Yeah, we at anything he want. It's his season. He about to thrive. Y'all gotta watch Harlem. I'm not just making this stuff up. It's scientifically proven on Harlem and Amazon.
I believe you 1,000%.
Yeah.
I know I'm just not laying up with Rick Ross.
No.
He ain't got skinny though. I ain't laying up with Heavy D. God rest his soul. I ain't gonna do it. So they say it's teddy bear season.
Okay, we'll go with that too.
Okay. So you got teddy bear season,
Got
and then you got
homeless.
these men that's homeless.
Yep.
This why y'all need to log off social media.
Slide
in your DM.
DM.
You put up your tree, they like, girl, I got some lights I could bring over there.
Hell no.
Because they ain't got no lights. So
right. Gas too expensive.
Yeah.
They can't keep the car running.
no,
It's too much.
it's like I saw a girl on Twitter said a dude, like, she showed the thread. He asked, like, you want to hang out? Can you, like, I want to see you, something like that. She was like, all right, cool. He was like, can you send me some gas money?
Hell no.
Can you send me gas money to come see me?
No, I'm good.
It's like asking me to marry me.
Yeah.
Like,
But how did that conversation start?
Girl,
Like
don't
that would
know.
be crazy.
I feel like she posted dogs on Twitter. That's the new elite.
So was it
athlete.
going good? And then he was like, "Damn, I ain't got no gas."
Yeah, I really feel like based on what I read, the conversation was going pretty good. It was going in a very normal fashion, like they talking throughout the day. And he was like, all right, so we gonna hang together tonight, whatever. And she like, yeah, he like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. She like, okay, cool. What time? 8, all right. But I ain't got no gas.
Yo, you gotta be a broke individual. Cause let me tell you something. In my broke days, that $1 trick, you fill up for $1, and your bank gonna give you 2 days to put the money back in the account.
You got that authorization
right.
for that $1.
$1. You
Baby,
got $1.
you ain't got $1. You got $1 in your pocket,
Nah.
a 20 in your wallet.
Yeah,
This nigga
that's
still out
funny.
here that can't even
Yo.
do a $1 trick. Forgot about that. Y'all better act like y'all know.
Right.
So yeah, it's bad. But I would say, what would you say present day that innately is in you? Is it just like you've learned and you know better, so you're doing better, that would prevent you from making some of those same lonely mistakes of your past?
Yeah, and I also feel that, like I said, I was in a dark space earlier on, just not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Not from the inside out,
Right.
spiritually, mentally, financially, just like living wild, with no care. So I don't want that to continue to be my lifestyle. So I
Right.
need that individual to support it, live in it, and we just do life together.
Yeah, be in it together. It makes sense. And I think that goes right into something I want to talk about. I feel like, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, sometimes being alone, is lit. Being in your house alone, you can do what you want. You leave, your house gonna come back exactly how you left it. I might leave $100 on the kitchen counter. I know it's gonna be right there when I come back. I ain't gotta worry about nobody touching it. I don't make up my bed some days. I ain't gotta worry about nobody seeing it. It's like, that's fine. But sometimes you do want that companionship. And I think that what healing has helped me to realize in this situation I want to talk about is that we really are never alone. And I'm always fulfilled because, and what I mean by this is a couple of things. One, and I'm going to have a whole episode about this first one, but one, my relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
I think that is what he fills me up. Come on, Whitney. I know she was singing about him because she couldn't have been singing about none of these niggas. So, my relationship with Christ is number one. And I think that, I'm not going to go too far into it because we do have an episode about it. But for me, it's like sometimes when things are bad, say you're going through a breakup, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. Life just looking a little crazy. You trying to pray to get a nigga back. You praying hard. You praying morning, noon, and night. You out here like TLC. You praying hard. Soon as God either grant you a new nigga, grant you that nigga, or grant you some peace, God like, bitch, I ain't heard from you in 3 weeks. Like,
I'm gonna call in the main
right.
line.
He ain't heard nothing.
Yeah,
You
that's
got
true.
your nigga, you just done replace it. So I think that never being alone and being fulfilled, my relationship with Christ is going to stay in the forefront. Like I said, I wake up, I open my fitness pal and my Bible app, but I have plans in that I'm reading. I'm reading my Bible at night. You know, I'm in the Word. And for me, being in the Word also is being in the Word of like me listening to podcasts or me listening to just spiritual, maybe YouTube videos or me reading other articles. Like I'm constantly like my faith and my belief and my activation of the law of assumption. Like that is one thing that fulfills me. And I found on this journey is a huge part of it. And when I tend to feel like I may be straying a little bit, I gotta reach back into that.
It grounds you.
Yeah, it has to. Like without it, like it's so the world makes it very easy for you to go astray.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I always say with these phones, I think the comedian Aziz, I can't remember his last name. I went to one of his shows many years ago and it rings true to this day. He was like, everybody's walking around with a party in their pocket, meaning that damn cell phone. So it's so easy for us to be led astray about what's on that phone. I mean, it could be social media, it could be text, it could be call, whatever the case may be. So it's very easy with that device and just in the world, period, to be led away. The next thing on my healing journey that has really helped me with understanding that I'm still fulfilled is my relationship with self.
Yeah.
And that goes to a lot of what we were talking about earlier. Like, who are you? You know, and people have asked that. I think if you all ever read, and I'll put it in the link below, Untethered Soul.
Oh, you shared that with
yes,
me. Yeah.
Michael Singer. Have you ever read it?
I started. I haven't finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that book.
I tell people all the time, you gotta be in a certain place in life to read it and to get it and to understand it.
And you said that every time you mention that book, that is what you share.
I'm telling you, you can't just be in any kind of space. You can't be in a fucked up space. You got to be super intentional because if not, you're going to read it and be like, what is this?
And that's why I don't think I finished.
You got to go back to it. Let me tell you, I was walking around with this book in my purse like it was my wallet. Somebody say something, I got a word for you. You know, I was like, like it's Jehovah's Witness. Pull the book out. And so I still, it's one of those books right now I'm reading, and I recommend this, self-care. Try to read one chapter of whatever book you read at night before you go to bed. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't, because sometimes when my mind works, I'll go to sleep and still be thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, but that book, Relationship with Self, that book rings the most truth for me because something that book talks about is in a relationship with yourself. We are, you hear people say this all the time, you're not your thoughts. Just stop thinking about it. Yeah. It's the same if I smoke cigarettes. You think I wouldn't just stop if I could? If I could just stop, it's not that easy. Our thoughts are not always that easy to just turn off. But the book helps you with learning about being able to literally say like, here is Shayna, and I'm going to take the thoughts of Shayna and I'm going to sit them beside me. So they are this glass of wine. Like these are my thoughts. They are over here. And so another example, I could say my thoughts are, if you walked in the room right now and you started complaining about a list of 50 little things that was bothering you, you sat there for like 20 minutes just complaining. At some point, I'm going to be like, Joy, like that's a lot. That's enough. We have to be able to take our thoughts and be like, Shayna, that's enough.
Yeah.
And separate yourself and take yourself outside of them and understand that at the core and center of who you are, it's like you are the core right here. You are able to control your happiness. You are able to control your fulfillment. You are able to control every outcome in your being if you choose to. It's like if we're sitting right here and across the room, unfortunately I'm looking at y'all, it's a bottle of wine. If I look at that bottle of wine and I look away and the next thought I have is probably going to be that I just saw a bottle of wine because that's just what I looked at. I can choose to think about all the wines in the world, the Moscato, the Riesling. I can choose to think about all that. I just go down this long rabbit hole. Or I can choose to say, that was a bottle of wine and leave that thought right there. So that was a big picture of it, but what it brings you back to is just understanding that the relationship with yourself is something that you have to be intentional about. It's something that you have to really work on within you. Like a partner can't help with that. So filling up that space with another person can't help with that. Family, friends, nobody can help with that. You have to do that internal work. And so I definitely just recommend that book when you're ready to read it because it will change your life.
Let me ask you a question that was shared with me earlier today. I was going through the interview process. What does the power of influence look like?
Ooh, let me tell you.
Because it kind of aligns with what we're...
The power of influence in regards to just like overall life.
Because it kind of feeds into what you're saying as far as the different controls and how people allow other things to
So it really depends. I took this personality test at work. I can't remember the name of it, but
Was it a red and white strengths finder book?
it wasn't a book, but it was a strengths finder test. It's like
Okay.
maybe Gallup or something. I can't remember. It was like a personality test. And out of all, say it was 7 categories, and one of the categories was woo, the ability to influence, and they were like only like 2% of people actually tap into this one, and that was like my number 2.
Okay.
And so I was like, I understand, but it goes both ways. Like in some instances, you are able to easily influence people, but then again, sometimes people are able to influence you because of empathy or certain things that you may tap into that maybe the average person won't. So I say that to say, I think that's why you have to be really true to who you are and know what you want, because if not, like I mentioned in episode 1, somebody come in and you got a coloring book, all you brought was a coloring book. Somebody will come in and color in and fill in all the color to your book because you just came in with an outline. So I think that the power of influence is very real. I think also when I said this, so I think my first YouTube recording, that people are one of the reasons people cheat is because they done found somebody that look better than you. So I think so the power of influence. A fine nigga can make you do something, I think, faster than an ugly nigga can, that you might not want to do. I ain't like that no more, because I'm healed.
I'm on a journey.
I'm on a healing journey.
I'm on a journey.
But nah, seriously, it's a little bit of seriousness to that too. I think the power of influence is real. I think that if you aren't able to stand true on who you are, if you don't really know, somebody can come in and tell you otherwise, because it's a lot of hotep ass niggas out here that will show up and, grand rising queen you to death. Good morning, beautiful. So they show up and they say all the right things. Like you said, niggas will study you. So you done went out a couple times. They know you've been single for 8 months. Y'all done talked about what you like, don't like. You like pink roses. He brought you pink roses. He done sent you lunch. He did all this little shit that social media says it's supposed to do to breadcrumb you to get your attention. So people can either find a way to influence you by like doing things, or people with their mouth, the things that they say, or people can just show up in spaces at the right place in the right time when you are in a vulnerable state. So do you feel like you are in a place where, because somebody influenced you? Because I think that even on this journey right now, I'm not as easily influenced as I used to be, not at all. Not even 75%. But I'm not going to say, put it this way, I'd probably still be open to certain conversations with certain people. I don't know if you're going to win that fight, you're going to really influence me, but I would be open to certain conversations with you.
And that was my response, because like I said before, I could talk to the wall.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hear you out. I'm going in this conversation knowing I'm standing on what I'm standing on, but I'm open to hearing your side.
Yeah.
And if I then influence you, it's a win.
That is the goal, ladies, for us to do the influencing.
So yeah, it was just interesting how it was posed, and I was like, that's a good question to ask, because like,
how did they pose it to you? How did they say it?
Well, it was we were at work.
Okay.
And so it was just like one of those working remote. You just ask a quick question and say, how does the power of influence impact your daily life?
Also, not at this motherfucker at work.
Yeah,
y'all
it was. You get. It's not like a work
balance, work life.
No, like a work relationship. It ain't one of those. It was just like a random question being posed. I think it was just to pass time.
Yeah,
but it's
still a good question.
But then I like how you said the wine. I couldn't let that go, so I've been thinking about it for a while. And I've been asking people. So
that's a really good question. So I like that. I think about the power of influence. That's real.
And how you're being influenced daily. Goes to the social media feeds. It goes to the people that you engage.
What we are taking in, all of that. We have to be mindful of it, because we are influenced by all of that. That goes into that loneliness. That goes into the things that are leaving us unfulfilled. Because part of it, going back to social media, and I hadn't even really had this like noted out, but I think that's a huge part we need to talk about in regards to why sometimes people do feel unfulfilled. Because let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna say allegedly, because I don't need no problems. I don't need no Tasha K problems. But if you watch the show Black Love on OWN? So Black Love is a show on OWN Network. I think it's in its 4th or 5th season. I'm so fucking glad that it's going off air.
I can't take it.
Because I started to say towards the end of that show, they need to go off air, because all these damn couples that they bringing on here, the relationship's going to hell. Megan Good and her boo was on there. They divorced. Cynthia Bailey and that nigga that he said he cheated his whole life, they was on there. They done.
Is that the one with
that's the show.
Tommy?
I think him and his wife was on there. It was a couple of other couples. And the thing was, I liked the show when it first came out. Like, I think it went maybe 5 seasons. Season 1 and 2 was like everyday couples that it's people right now I follow on social media that have become influencers over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I met them first on that show when they were just like me and you, regular smaggers sitting here. And I still consider them regular people. They just have grown their influence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it was really organic and good.
Yeah.
Then it started moving over to celebrity couples. Mm-hmm. And you know how that can go. Yeah. You know, that's like the what's it, the Duvalls, the Ellises.
The Ellises.
The Ellises. Unpopular opinion, I don't know these people, but that show fucked up my viewpoint of them.
What show?
Black Love.
They were on there?
They were on there. And the wife got on there and talked about how, you know, he was supposed to go like pro. I think maybe he did. He got cut.
Yeah, he was.
And
I heard this story.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the hype around it. I like them. It's a cute little light skinned family, but I don't understand.
Not a cute little light skinned family.
They are.
Yeah, I don't be, look, I said it long ago, I don't really be with the relationship goals, following the couples and stuff.
Yeah, no.
But you know, her story was like he got cut
because she was working at like Mac and trying to support.
Yeah, she was doing something, but all I know, she was pissed that by the time he got cut, they didn't really have money for a wedding, and they had decided on a wedding or something else. She wanted the wedding, but maybe it was they were younger. It was a while ago. I don't remember what year this was, but she had an attitude when they was recording, and I was like, I don't know if they gonna make it. Like watching the show, and I feel like that was their authentic selves. And mind you, people can grow, change, real, but they could be completely different people. Mm-hmm. But that show influenced my way of thinking about them. Mm-hmm. Because that show did tell the original core thoughts of what she thought about her relationship, her man, what was going on. Yeah. It was like she talked about the foundation. Mm-hmm. So when I see now the influencer stuff, you know, y'all make all the money y'all want to make. I'm not really a fan of influencer families. Let me never have to bite those words. I may become one day. But
so you say all that to say what?
Where was I going? I forgot. I would have known where I was going. Oh, I know where we were going. We were going to the point of like not letting these couples on social media influence you. Right. So I just was pointing them out. And then Tia and Corey, what do you think about that? It's a lot of Tia and Corey. Sad. Is it really sad or do you really not?
It's just what we were supposed to say in that moment. It happens.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, it happens.
Every day. And then when you go back on, I said, why nobody ain't check on Tia about 3-4 months ago? Girl, you go back on her Twitter. She been fucked up for a long time.
She was hurt.
Yeah, she was hurt. She been hurting for a while. She been tweeting about this nigga for a whole year.
For a while.
You know, niggas said, somebody was on Twitter like, oh, look at her old tweets. That bitch ain't delete nothing.
But you know what? So I've had recent conversations with some of my male friends that are going through divorce. And I don't know, you know, if even the value, or not value, that may not be the right word, but how we look at marriage is still the same traditional. Like we go into it, we never gonna get divorced, or
we might not hold the same values.
Yeah, and I think that's okay.
That's definitely okay.
Because a lot of, again, the people that I'm talking to are men, so I know there's two sides to the story and all of that. But they're like, we got married young. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was like, yeah. So what changed in that time? Yeah. Are you still fighting for your love? Are you, you know, seeking counseling?
Yeah.
Or what are y'all doing to make this work?
Yeah.
Because I just feel like there are several families, units in my circle that are currently going through divorce, and it's just different.
What were they having to say about that? Did they feel like it was worth the good fight still, or they just was like, nah?
They washed their hands of it.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
So,
and it was interesting seeing it from a male's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
A woman. So yeah.
But yeah, I think it's not the same. I think the values are different. I think that I always tell people, say, you know, we want marriages like our grandparents. I said the only thing our grandparents a lot of times gave us was the longevity.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at the core of it, of back in the day when people had the families across the town,
absolutely,
people were cheating, people were being abused, molestation taking place, and they still stand with them because they were a breadwinner. You know, it was times when, you know, you couldn't work, couldn't get a bank account. They really were literally the definition of between a rock and a hard place. You know,
and that's why a lot of them it wasn't love. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was like I had to.
It was survival.
Survival. Yeah. What was I gonna do? I mean, I could have went and been homeless, but you know.
And then at that point, there was no divorce.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know that because a lot of these families were in the church. So how do we look at divorce? How do you see this? And can I get remarried? Who would, you know?
Yeah, it was so many stipulations to it. So. But yeah, that said, I think that you got to be mindful of looking at other people's situation from the outside looking in.
For
You
sure.
without, even if you have insight on the inside, you still really on the
You
outside
don't
looking
know.
in.
Yeah.
You really do not know.
Yeah.
And so I would say be mindful of what you're absorbing on social media because, especially again this time of year, what do the lonely do for Christmas? You be on social media looking at them pictures, not knowing that she getting her ass whooped for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah,
So
that's sad.
don't, take that with a grain of salt. So I want to ask you, and I go back to what I was saying earlier about my relationship with Christ and my faith and things like that. Do you feel like when you get in a relationship with people that sometimes you kind of move away from that, or do you kind of stay true?
No. Yeah, I stay true.
Look at you being an angel. I'm the only demon.
No,
So-
I stay true because I also don't want to sit and, as I led with in a part of our conversation earlier, whatever you believe. No, because in my relationship, I want you to believe in God. You know what I'm saying? But on this platform, I want to be respectful for everybody.
Yeah,
But in our personal life, I don't want to be talking about how we have to be conscious of pronouns and things. I don't want to say higher power. I don't want to say all the unknowns and things that. No, I want to speak to what I believe in.
Yeah, and
you don't have to go to church every Sunday, but we're gonna talk about the Bible. We're gonna talk about.
What if you with somebody that don't really want to talk about that?
Don't want to talk about God?
They like, I believe in God, but I don't really want to talk about that.
No, we're gonna talk about it. Cause why don't you want to talk about it? Was there something hurtful that happened? Did you grow up in the church and just now you like I'm off that? Like what was it?
So I'll tell you my experience. I've met men that I'll say they're Christians. It was one bozo that was like, the church I go to, man, he be preaching the same thing. He preach the same thing over and over. I need to hear the same thing over and over because I clearly ain't got it right.
Yeah.
I'm over here
He's
with
speaking to you.
Right. Over with your silly ass.
Yeah.
I've heard. Yeah, I just can't remember the last time I've been to church. I ain't really trying to go.
We gotta work that out.
I've heard. All these niggas was not for me. I'm just giving examples.
Okay.
I've heard. They just hadn't been to church. Bible probably had dust on it. So I think for me, the mistake I made was kind of like following in their steps. Like, not that I stopped praying or stopped going to church, but I didn't go to church as much.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in my word as much.
Yeah.
Sundays I'm laid up with your funky ass when I need to be at church.
Yeah.
When I would normally be at church.
Yeah.
Missing Bible study because I'm with you. Not, I'm not having those conversations because I've chosen to minimize myself in that area.
Yeah.
And I know that in healing, I find that that's something that's not allowed. I was talking to a guy, I would say, a couple weeks ago, and it's just a random conversation I'm having with somebody because I have a second gig, y'all, and at this job, people like just talk to me. So, we were talking about some along the lines of like the next, relationship that I'm in, or this one, like I want to be with a partner that's able to go to church with me consistently. And this person was like, how you gonna tell a man that he gotta go to church with you? I said, he ain't gotta do shit.
Yeah.
But he gonna stop fucking with me. Like, we never gonna be messing around.
Yeah.
Once I find out that's the energy you want, you rather get up and play the game than go to church.
That's important to me, so
Yeah, that's definitely important. I can't waver on that ever again. And honestly, that was me. Because I don't feel like even with those bozos I was dealing with, I love calling them bozos. It like brings me so much joy. That none of them ever said like don't go to church or judge, like except for that one bozo that was like, yeah, so and so always preaching the same thing. Like, when the last time you been to know what you preaching? Yeah. But outside of that, the guys never really made it a point to deter me.
It was just
me. I just slowed down.
Like you
whatever.
said, just laying up. Whatever you doing, I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh Lord, Jesus, God, deliver us all. Deliver us all. I would say something else in my healing I've realized is that when it comes to never being alone and being fulfilled, is that I have things that fulfill my life, and I think that more women have to tap into that. Are you fulfilled? In regards to like, I have friends that I can hang out with. Like I said, I have a second gig. I have creative things that I do. I have a list that I made for my year of being 38, like things I want to do in this year of 38. Okay. So that's like, for me, try a new restaurant once a month. I want to go skiing. I want to go to a Broadway play in New York. I want to take a cooking class. So it's just like different things that I find to like fill up my life that I
outside of a relationship.
Yeah, outside of a relationship, outside of a person, you know. So what do you do about it? It's like, what fulfills you outside of people? Because I want people to hear this, because I think this helps people to kind of tap into, like, when we talk about fulfillment, it's more than just a person, people, places, and things.
I like to nerd out and like learn new things.
Yes.
So I work in public health. My previous background was social work, so I was always engaged with people and dealing with other people's problems. But now in public health, I like to, just like I said, nerd out on data, learn new skills, not necessarily that translate just into the professional setting, but also in my personal life, because, you know, I want to find other ways to how am I trying to say this? Like, bring awareness to my community.
Okay.
Because I enjoy, you know, working in community spaces and for marginalized individuals and people and things like that. But I want it to look different. So, you know, I volunteer. I work with different causes, because that's what I feel I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have kids, so, you know, I like working with other people's kids, so I can give them back.
Right.
But yeah, I like to nerd out and learn different things. So I love listening to TED Talks. I go down YouTube. I love
TED Talks. You ever been to the TED Talk here in Nashville?
I did go.
I need to go. I always miss it.
I did go. I went to the first day, the Saturday. It was great, and I just went by myself, because I was just like how am I gonna ask somebody? You know, who else is gonna be
next
interested?
Time ask me.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. But I'm an avid learner. I like learning things. But sometimes with my brain, it's just like I feel like I'm all over the place. So like starting a book, not finishing.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've charged my own self with, like finishing something, completing a task, and seeing something through, because I could be easily, you know, influenced.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'm over that.
Yeah.
On to the next. But I really love learning and trying new things and stuff.
That's
like that.
awesome. And the fact that you said, you know, doing things by yourself, you know, I've definitely gotten to that place. We were, what was it? Was it a show? It was something coming up in Nashville. And I was going, was it a concert? I can't remember what it was. It was something coming. I ended up not going. But I was fully prepared to, like, buy the ticket for just myself. Because, like, I'm a person that normally I will, like, ask a few people, like, do you want to go to this, da-da-da? But whatever this thing was, I just was like, I'm about to just buy this ticket. Like, I don't need a companion, you know?
I got this.
Yeah, and the same thing now sometimes, you know, I think when it's simple, you know, going out to eat, or either I say, like, another thing on my list, I want to go on my first solo trip. I've never, like, traveled out of town by myself, you know?
That's awesome.
Yes, I'm like, I want to go to a beach so I could just lay out in the sand. I'm definitely going to do that once it gets warm outside. But I think that that's a huge part, like how you love to learn. I love TED Talks. I like learning, like, fact-based things. Are you this kind of person? So, for example, which is weird, don't judge me, y'all. When a show, not that I'm trying to give it any publicity, but the show that came out on Netflix about the serial killer that a lot of people were talking about, not even going to say the name of it. For some reason, I knew a lot of that stuff already, because this is going to sound really weird. I like looking up serial killers, y'all. So I like looking up serial killers. I like looking up, like, documentaries. I'm the type, if I watch a movie, like, I'll never forget when a New Edition movie came out. BET, if y'all ain't never done them right, y'all got that movie right. I was obsessed with New Edition.
I can still sit and watch it.
When I tell you, I want to be on my mama's head. Like, why you never took me to a New Edition concert? Like, bitch, you weren't even born when them niggas came out. Like, I'm big mad, because I'm like, I should have been up there. I get to experience it. So recently, when they came to Nashville, was it earlier this year? Well, let me tell you, now I'm of the notion, when these big stars go on tour and stuff, like, I'm going, because unfortunately people die every day, and you don't know if your fave gonna come back around for you to see them. So if they come in the city or somewhere close by, I'm going to see them. So you're talking about, like, it wasn't registered to me. Like, I knew New Edition was coming to Nashville, but it didn't click till, like, the next day. Like, bitch, why you ain't go to the concert?
It was nice too.
What I tell you? So that said, when that show came out, you talking about, like, obsessed, like, after every night, it's usually like 2 or 3 parts. I'm online on Wikipedia reading their whole life, reading about I'm deep out in it. So I'm the type, when the show comes out, if I really like it, I'm all the way into it. I gotta know all the facts.
Mama.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do everything.
Don't let somebody die. I gotta make sure they still alive. Like, fortunately, we got social media and stuff these days.
It's easier.
Yeah, it's easier to know. But yeah, so that's my jam. So I love documentaries and stuff.
So back to your question about like, well, not question, but serial killers and
Yeah.
things like so. My previous work was in corrections.
Okay.
So I still have friends from Illinois. We worked in corrections. I did fingerprinting. Like I did classification at the largest intake receiving center in Illinois.
So you saw
it was just me.
everybody.
Yeah, it was just me. So I saw John Wayne Gacy's fingerprints in my office, and it was just me, little old me, all these lifers, people with these crimes, and they just like, you good? I'm like, I'm straight. Like we're just having a conversation, but me and my friend, she still works there now. Like anytime a high profile case, we would go Google them and go downstairs and look at their fingerprints, and we could see their whole biopsychosocial history and intake because we had access to it. Like I any documentary, any crazy.
Do you like
watch
horror movies?
No.
That's when you draw the line.
Yeah, I don't. But guns, drugs, all of that criminal behavior type stuff. I wanted to work at the BAU, but I was like, it's too much science.
I like that kind of stuff too. I like horror too. Horror is like my number one, and then it's like
most of the stuff we watching is closer to real life.
I like horror. Like I want like somebody dying, chopping them up, good, gore. I love all that shit. So that said, moving. Look, we need to do these. Let me stop and say something else. Chop them up.
All these bozos.
Oh yeah, all these clowns. Done. Like it. Have you ever been in a relationship and like outside of the one you might have recently talked about, like an actual relationship, and like didn't feel fulfilled in it?
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you realize like this is not it? Like this is not fulfilling. I'm not happy. Like when you say not fulfilled, what was that for you?
So it was my last real relationship.
Okay.
And that was it was pre-pandemic. Yeah, it was pre-pandemic.
Okay.
And I think he made it more obvious than I think I was aware, meaning I wasn't tapped in. I was no longer tapped into the relationship.
Okay.
I was no longer like present.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was talking to anyone else or someone else had my attention. It was just like I had checked out of the relationship.
Yeah.
And we were having a conversation one night, and he brought it to my attention, like, hey, I'm noticing some changes. He always just assumed it was work related because, work was heavy and things like that. And I was, I couldn't really put my finger on it or like identify one example or one instance where it was like, you did this.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm no longer happy in this relationship. It was a long distance relationship also.
You like that long distance shit, don't you?
I just feel like my person is not here. So,
I've had more than one friend say that.
I don't feel like my person is in Nashville. And granted, there are a lot of transplant. He don't, but I can't move where he is. Not
you
yet.
Want to go up north?
I can't. My dime needs to shine a little nicer than what it is now, so I can
slide up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
I ain't trying to rush things now.
So long distance, and you checked out.
Yeah, I was just checked out, and he was making an effort. He was coming here. We were seeing each other. We were spending time together. But I just I stopped talking, and I would just be quiet, and I was just checked out. And he, like I said, he brought it to my attention, like, hey, something's different.
Yeah.
What's going on? Because he really cared for me. And we're still friends to this day. But
Look at you, how nice.
I talk like when it's amicable, like we good. I just don't want to hear it. Like I don't want to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? So we're just done. But it wasn't something that I recognized. He saw it, and then I was able to like kind of talk through it. Mm-hmm. But through all of that and through that process, it kind of helped me find my words and know how to advocate for myself. Because here I am just sitting in this relationship because he want to be in it with me.
Yeah, for the sake of time.
Yeah, just to do us.
So who decided to say, okay, this is it?
He
like
did.
Michael Jackson. Okay, and how was you was like, all right, because I was checked out anyway?
Yeah.
Do you know what it was that made you be?
I can't recall, and at that time I couldn't remember either.
Okay.
But I wasn't upset when he wanted to end, when he ended the relationship. I wasn't upset. I had no emotions.
Yeah. What would you do now if you feel like you got in a relationship and at some point you start to feel like you were checked out of
I'm going to speak up.
Okay.
Because I also felt I was wasting his time. So it goes back to what we talked about time. Like you can't get that back.
Get it back. No,
so I no longer want to waste your time, and I'm definitely not going to waste mine.
Yeah.
So I would, because I do that in just strictly, platonic friendship relationships.
It ain't serving no purpose. We can't do this, baby.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I can relate to that 100%. I think that I've had situationships, of course, that I've checked out of.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think like relationship wise, only time like I've checked out a relationship when I didn't feel fulfilled was I had a very strong reason to not be fulfilled. One was cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I've always, my intuition has always been very strong.
Yeah.
And I didn't used to know what that felt like or how to listen to it. But now it's so strong in this journey I'm on. I can't help but feel it. Like, I can't ignore it. Like, I know literally my most recent situation, I feel like on a Monday, like I woke up and I was like, what's going on? Like something off, da-da-da. Everything good, da-da-da. By Wednesday, we having a conversation about what was bothering me on Monday.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I knew my intuition wasn't lying to me. But I think that in those situations when I wasn't fulfilled, when we talked about earlier, just having something to do.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm no longer in a space of, one, as you get older and you have things, everything in my life is planned. Everything has a place and a time and a space for it. So I'm no longer in a space where I got time for just something to do.
Okay.
And for me, if I got something, it's just something to do, it's probably sleep. Or it's probably chill out and watch a Netflix movie or do whatever I do that brings me joy. But I'm no longer occupying my space, time, or energy with a person just because. Yeah. So I would say in those situations in the past when I was unfulfilled, it was because one, I had signed up for a relationship or a situationship with somebody I shouldn't have been in business with in the first place. Yeah. It was a bad decision from the beginning. But I think, I knew it was bad when my intuition started to tell me that. But I think now being on this journey, what it has helped me recognize, and I think more people have to recognize, is that when you know it's not working, one, you can have a conversation in order to be able to understand where it is that we're going, what we're doing.
And it doesn't always mean it ends.
Yeah.
It's just we need to check in.
We got to talk about this. And we talked about check-ins in the last episode. We got to talk about this, what it looks like. But I think the other side, like yourself now, if it's not working, it's not fulfilling, I'm not staying alone to get along. That's just not going to happen.
And it's no hard feelings.
Not at all. No. Well, I don't know about that.
It ain't, on my end, it ain't no hard feelings.
I'm a hard feeling ass bitch.
Come on, Virgo.
Look so.
Shut that shit down.
All right, so if y'all don't know this, I think Joy knows this, that Divorce Court is one of my favorite shows. And let me tell y'all, if you could ever come to my house, I had Divorce Court on a loop. Between that, paternity court, couples court, yeah, they're my favorite ones.
I ain't never heard of paternity court.
Girl, yeah, Judge Lauren Lake, she don't play no games. And let me tell you something. Shout out to Judge Starr on Divorce Court. Oh, baby, she told him, she said something today to this boy. She was trying to say you a lying motherfucker, but she said something like you a lying joker. So she said it was like he was on tip of her tongue. Like,
man, let it go.
Yeah. Baby, she get them people the business. So I love her. But he wouldn't answer her question, so it was a situation where a couple was clearly unfulfilled. They were married. And this man did not pay the gas bill, so the gas got cut off. She asked him 3 times. He kept trying to say, "Sir, I've asked you 3 times."
Cut the bull. Cut it.
She got with his ass. But so what happened was this woman, didn't pay the gas bill. Mind you, I said most times with certain bills, not that I experienced this, but I just know that if you need an extension on something, they don't really cut your stuff off like for being 1 month late.
Hell no, that's like 6 months.
Yeah, so I'm like, mind you, whatever it was they owed at this point, say it was $50 that was owed. Okay. He didn't pay the $50, their gas got cut off. She said they in there with blankets, bundled up, candles, still there. He got mad, he had anger issues, went to a rest, they at Waffle House. Somebody called her. I don't know if he thought it was another man or something, but he threw a drink in her face in Waffle House. I said, that's simple assault. She should have pressed charges. Ooh. Then they went out to a club. He got mad about something. He left, walked home. I'm assuming they live kind of close. He walks home, leave his phone, his keys, everything at the club with his wife. She get home, the door wide open. This man said he was so mad he got home and kicked the door in. So I said, some things are unforgivable. This shit y'all forgiving, I'm tired. I can't deal with it because this man done let you be cold, ain't paid your bills. He done assaulted you with this Pepsi he threw in your face, and he done kicked your front door in. And you still with him. You
Of
talk
course.
about unfulfilled. So finally, this was a great ending to the episode because thank God this woman had her divorce papers and signed them right then.
Thank
and so,
God.
of course, the man, I ain't got to sign the papers. The judge started telling him, that we live in a state, whatever the state was, you can file for divorce uncontested. Like, you ain't got to sign, sir. You want to play these games? But you could tell he was real childish. He was real angry. But
where do those men, where do they come from?
that's what I was wondering.
Where
because every episode, it used to be so bad. This was like 2 seasons ago when Judge Lynn Toller was on it. And what was wild to me, literally every person that came in her court, she would always start out by asking, do you have a job? And I'm like, why she gotta ask these men, do they have a job? But it was because it wasn't normal for people to have a job. Like, they just wouldn't work. Niggas would be like, I've been trying to find a job for 3 years. It's nothing wrong with them. They can work, but then you'll find out later on they trying to be a rapper and they
that's bad.
46 looking like Ice-T. You know, Ice-T now, not rapper Ice-T. It's not gonna work for you, sis. So it's like you have these people. Like, I always wonder that too, because a lot of times on these shows, of course, it's the same kind of man. It's the man. She started out the episode saying, like, basically he's broke, busted, and disgusted. And I don't want to be here no more. And you have almost every episode, because I watch them every day. I watch Divorce Court. And you have the same kind of men. A lot of times it's up in the air if they're going to be employed. If they are, it's like they in and out of jobs. They are always cheating. They always have other outside kids. They never have a car. They never have any money. So I'm just trying to figure out. That's why I said, I put this on Twitter. Maybe I need to manifest it. Judge Star does a great job, but y'all need another consultant like me to come in on the stand and tell her, what the
You
fuck?
be the mediator.
Yeah. It's no way. You have outlined everything this man got going on. He didn't even get a haircut for court today. Why would you want to be with somebody who want to show up on national TV looking like this? Let's start there. So it's literally an outline of every single nigga that come on that show. It's the same kind of thing. But you know what? For as sorry as the men are, I also put fault on the women. 1,000%. Because literally, I can count at least 75% of the time, the judge will always ask them. So you've told me he's cheated on you. He's had outside kids. You got evicted. He ain't got no car. He ain't got no money. He ain't got this. Why do you want to be with him? Every fucking time. I love him. Girl, ain't enough love in the world. These hoes, y'all smoking dick if y'all think that I'm gonna be with a nigga just because of love. Baby, only way, let me tell you, I think the only exceptions to the rule is like when the women are with like rich niggas. Like you with a nigga that got like, he worth $300 million. Yeah. And you like, I'm here for love. You know this nigga cheat. I'm here for love and money. Like those are these. Yeah. Those are the. What is that? I'd rather cry in a Bentley. Yeah. These are not. And I think we talk about standing 10 toes down. I really am serious about like I wouldn't stay in a situation because we all know that money does not. To some extent, you can have a good time, but it's not gonna keep you. But fundamentally, if I was the old person that I used to be, and I wanted to stay in a jacked up situation, I could see myself staying in $1 million situation where all the circumstances aren't right versus we are basically in homelessness over here. No. And you talking about for love. What love is there?
Yeah, when did you fall in love? Like what? At what stage of this relationship? Point? Yeah.
And it's something else I think about, and I want viewers, I need y'all to help me with this in the comments. When people are going through it like that, you ain't got no heat in the house, you ain't got no money, you ain't got no car. And then the girl be like, but I'm 2 months pregnant. Why was you fucking? Your pussy should have been drier than the Sahara. Like, it's no way when I'm going through something that my pussy can't get wet. So why? Why would I sign like?
And those type of men ain't never shoot no blanks.
No, never.
They got plenty kids.
Never.
Everywhere they lay their head as a child.
So that's what I don't understand. Like these. Yeah, those situations are the like epitome and like poster children for being lonely and staying in something, because you definitely are lonely in that situation with that person, or being single and bumping into somebody. Like one episode I posted, this woman met a man within 1 week, they moved in together. And I said, he moved in with her. I said, sis, he's homeless. How he moved in by Thursday? Where all his shit? Y'all met on Monday.
Yeah, where he been staying?
With somebody else. He was homeless. So
that relationship.
I done had a homeless nigga move in on me. I promise. He slid in by accident. So I've been there. Done that, got a t-shirt, could write a book about it. But I won't. We'll just talk about it on here. Yeah, never again.
Not never.
Never. But I will tell you, I just don't get it. So it's just shows like that really solidify, because like I said, this is a show that's been on, it's like season 25 at this point. So
I've never watched that.
Girl, I went back to like season 1 and started watching the shit. So
do you ever check in, like Google or try? Do they tell their real name? No, they don't tell their real name.
Girl, no, yes they do. But they do.
Oh.
They don't tell their names, but they used to. They need to do it again. A couple seasons ago, they used to put their Instagram on there. But you know, I was all on the Instagram.
Childish.
Comment. Bitch, I can't believe you
Shannon
with that nigga.
Yeah. Comments.
So now I just be commenting on the divorce court page. I'm gonna start looking at names. I know they got a Facebook, cause all niggas who ain't shit got a Facebook.
Hell yeah. Picture trash.
They keep a Facebook. They keep a Facebook. So yeah, I definitely have to. But these are people that it's always just wild to me that they have like the worst circumstances in life. Most times, even though it's called divorce court, everybody's not married. This couple I was talking about, they were married. But most times it's people that are, you know, in relationships, serious relationships or whatever. But it's just like terrible circumstances. And it's like, I really, you know, one, like you said, where do you find these men? But it just is mind blowing to me that these women are fully aware of who they're signing up with. Like you met a man on Monday, he moved in by Thursday. Like, where did you think this was going?
Right.
You know, you get pregnant and he isn't taking care of the child. Like you met him when he was homeless. He had nothing. And you thought he was going to be
a better father,
President Obama to your kid. Like, why did you think that? Like,
and that's just another mouth to feed.
Yeah, where did you come? Now you have to feed both of y'all. Because that's, you know, the lady with the first story I told, she was like, I'm the one paying all the big, but she said I paid the mortgage, the car note, the da-da-da-da. All she had that nigga to pay was the gas. and he couldn't pay that. So it's like, this is, I said all that to say, yeah, this is like just further proof and confirmation that there are really, you see women on their ages, you know, legally from 21 up to, you see them older, 60, 70 on there, still fighting this good fight, if you want to call it that. But it just shows that there are women still that are out here that are unfulfilled and just operating in these wild ass spaces and thinking that it's okay. So what do you say to women if they feel like, I'm here just for the love and it's not a fulfilling relationship?
I don't.
Just say no. They have to say no.
I have no word. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, we're gonna talk through it, of course. You know, but it's just like what they've made their decision.
Yeah.
Because I'm also not gonna talk myself until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah, this is true.
And you're not willing to, you know, make that step, because you got to see all the, like, you're doing everything, or you're better than this, or, you know, like, he's trash.
Yeah.
You know all these things.
Yeah.
You're choosing to stay. Why?
Yeah. And I know too, it is, you're right, it's hard to have those conversations because I know people that allegedly that have been in situations where the writing has been like very clear on the wall. Like, it's at this point, sometimes, like, I'm not even mad at the man. Like, this man never switched up. Like, he was trash from, like, the first day you met him.
Yeah.
And he was, like, a good time. And you chose to think that you could turn a good time into, like, a good nigga.
You cannot change a man.
You cannot. You know, you can't raise one either.
No.
And so you chose to engage in that. And then, like, years later, when you're down the line, you know, kids or not, and you going through hell with them, and you trying to figure out, like, Deborah Cox, how did I get here? You, like, signed up for that.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a huge part of this whole conversation we're having in regards to the healing. Like, I have been very guilty, as I've talked about, of being in a relationship with people when I knew it was the wrong person, when I knew that it was not giving me fulfillment, when I knew that, you know, I said I loved them. I feel like I didn't experience real love until, I would say, in my most recent relationship, you know? And I might have said the words, but I know that, you know, it was not any value there.
Yeah.
So I think that it comes down to people being able to recognize that sometimes being alone is the best option.
Yeah. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's not a what they say, it's not like a disease. What's called the when they used to have the spots on them. Leprosy, yeah. Being single is not like having leprosy. Like, it's not a disease.
Love on yourself first.
Let's start there.
Love on yourself.
Let's start there.
And like you said, being by yourself or being lonely, it doesn't have to be a bad. Well, being single and being by yourself doesn't have to mean you're lonely.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like those two don't have to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because you need your time, your space, and you know, everything around. You need some time to yourself.
Yeah.
Sit with yourself for a little bit.
Girl, people be so, that's another comment. I think that's somewhere on the agenda, talking about sitting with yourself. People so afraid to be and sit, like what the girl said on the game, one episode, I didn't really watch that show, but I caught one where the girl said, I'm gonna leave you alone with your thoughts. So it's one of those things that people, in order to get fulfillment, in order to be okay with being alone or single, you have to be okay with being with yourself. Because guess what? Even when you get in a relationship with people, you still gotta be okay with being with yourself.
Absolutely.
Like
you're still an individual.
Yeah, that's the key.
A partnership.
Being an individual.
Yeah.
So what would you say? So you're single right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to call it, you know, black men love asking. So why are you single?
I was gonna say something smart. Okay, what was your question?
My question is, why do you think you're single?
Because my person is not here in Nashville. And
okay.
I'm gonna be honest, it's not like I'm out and actively seeking, you know, dating or companionship, all those things. If my guy ain't the maintenance man or the post or the mailman right now,
Amazon man,
or the Amazon man or the Uber Eats delivery person, it ain't happening. So I just think right now for me, I'm still on this healing journey and it's still evolving every day. I'm still evolving every day and learning more about myself and just feeling more and more comfortable with the decisions that I'm making for myself.
Yeah.
So to add another individual, to add another person and all the things that come with that, I'm good right now. Yeah. I'm in a space where I'm good.
That's a beautiful space to be in. Y'all give a round of applause for Joy.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
Yeah. You gotta be okay with that. I just wanted to ask that question to mess around because black men love pulling up on you. Why you think you single?
Hell yeah. And I'll be like, well, why you single?
Yeah. Why are you in my face?
Yeah.
First of all, let's start there. So what would you say, any final thoughts that you would want to give to the people to walk away from when it comes to, you know, understanding that loneliness is not a disease, that it does not mean it's the end of the world. It does not mean that you are really alone. There is so much fulfillment and joy and healing and getting to a healed enough space to recognize the value of having a clear enough mindset and a clear enough thoughts to know, like, this is what I'm going to do with my time. This is where my focus is going to be. This is how I'm going to fill myself up, in the words of the great Whitney Houston. So what would you say?
I would say, in all of the things that we've talked about tonight, give yourself grace. It's not going to be perfect. The journey's not going to be perfect. You're going to mess up. You know, you got to still figure things out and know what works for you. So give yourself grace, but be diligent in your search. Be diligent, not search, but just be diligent in the work that you're doing.
In your journey. And
on your journey. Yeah, like for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Don't, you know, compare your journey to someone else. You know, just kind of live in your truth. But like grace, that has been my word this year. Because we could be so hard on ourselves and then, you know, you just kind of get thrown off the beaten path. Yeah. It's like, oh shit, all that healing is gone.
Right, it's gone.
I'm back to the streets. Like, what's up? But no, just be diligent in what you are working towards. You know, discipline yourself and ground yourself in whatever serves you. And just continue working. I mean, we all deserve better.
Yeah.
I won't say perfect, but we all deserve better. And just keep working towards it. Advocate for yourself.
I love that. And I love grace, you're right, because I think even in me getting to a space of wanting to create this series, you know, it was a lot of thought that was put into it just to be open and vulnerable and transparent. And it was like, oh my God, you know, even because in doing this, I had to go back and think about a lot of things. It just in my healing journey, I've had to tap into a lot of things that many, say, years ago, even months ago or days ago, I might not have been comfortable with. Absolutely. And so I definitely had to extend myself grace when I found myself in a situation like some we talked about, like, why did I do that? Why was I in that situation? Why did I allow that? You know, it's like you get in that argument and you're like, I should have said this shit, you know, so then it's like, you start thinking back like, oh, I should have. Oh, that nigga owe me $6. Like, you know, you start thinking about
like, I'm gonna call him now.
Right. You want everything that you feel like you were owed, but then you realize that it's all in the journey. It's all an experience. It's all for you to take and do with it as you may. And it's about, you know, the choices that you choose to make as you go forward.
Absolutely.
And I always say go forward and not necessarily get older, because I think that I had a conversation with somebody around my birthday. They said, you know, someone that was younger than me, asked me something along the lines of like, what's something that like you could teach me? And something I told them was I could teach you to unattach age from everything that you want to do in this life. And I always tell people, you can do anything that you want to do in this life. Not be like a 65-year-old rapper, but you probably could. Don't let me kill your dreams. But my point in that is, I feel like there are people that, you know, may want to be a mom, may want to be a wife, may want to be an entrepreneur, may want to be a politician, may want to be a podcaster. You can do it. The thing is, you have to be diligent and consistent in the work that you are doing towards it.
Absolutely.
And you have to be willing to work at it enough to know that it's going to happen for me, because I've assumed it and said it's already done. But I have to unattach the age or the moment as to when it's going to happen.
When it's supposed to.
When it's supposed to happen. So it may not happen until 10 years from now. But I know that if I'm serious about it and it's something that I want, that if I stay at it, it's going to come. But I unattach my age from it. And I think the same thing with this healing journey, to unattach any, I would say, any shame or blame or embarrassment. I mean, those are all human things that we felt in the moment, and sometimes it makes you cringe when you go back and think about it. But your word of grace is very beautiful to apply to everything that we talked about, and just fully understanding that if we're able to give ourselves grace as we go forward, we can absolutely heal in these areas and understand that we are always fulfilled. You are never alone. And even if you feel like you're lonely, girl, find anything to do but call that nigga.
Tyrone.
Yes. So on that note, Joy, tell the people where they can find you. You want to tell them? Her name Joy. Y'all didn't know where to find her.
I'm around.
Okay.
I'll be with her. I'll be with Shayna. Wherever she is, I'm at.
Ask me. I'll tell you where she is. And that's all, folks. Signing off. Yours truly, Shanna Montana.
Woo.
Peace out.